name's Aaron, and about 7 or 8 years ago, I was hit by a truck. No, 14, 15 years ago, I was hit by a truck. Walking. Um, I was crossing Breckenridge Lane, walking down 6 Mile, and until I got hit. I was 3 feet away from the crosswalk. It was my fault. Luckily, nobody pressed charges or anything.
LaRon, I'm age 46, and my accident was not an accident. It was done on purpose, and I was 43 years old. I was using drugs with my sister-in-law, and I just had a recollection that she had been talking about my mother for 3 days, and so I sort of got out of my apartment. So as I put out, I had thoughts of letting her back in. So I was on crutches because I had broken my right ankle. And I went downstairs to let her back in. And I went around the back of her car. I hobbled around the back of her car, knocked on her window, and told her to come back in. And I thought that it was all right. I told her sorry. I went around the front of the car, and she ran me over. And the car held onto my clothes and drove me from Chandler to Broadway.
My name is Drew, and I was involved in a car accident 27 years ago. I got off work at midnight, and we were going to drive to downtown Louisville to the University of Louisville campus to go to a party. And we were driving in my 1965 Corvair convertible, and it was my cousin and I, and we were on the interstate driving downtown, and the car just died. And back in 1965, that model did not have emergency flashers, so there was construction on the side of the road. We couldn't get off the road, so we were stuck in the middle of I-64 at 12:30 at night with nowhere to go, and the car wouldn't start. So I had my cousin get out of the car and go. This was before cell phones, so he had to go down under the underpass or under the overpass where there was a payphone to call the police. And I stayed in the car, and I was pressing the brake pedal off and on to simulate flashing or emergency lights to warn people that I'm stuck in the middle of the interstate. And that's really the last thing I remember. From what my cousin told me, he went down, called the police, came back up, and as he was approaching the car, he saw a Toyota pickup truck hit me in behind and go over the top of me. And I came up out of my seat, and the top of my head hit the underside of the Toyota pickup truck. And so it knocked me out immediately, and I don't remember anything from that night or anything thereafter until about 2 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. I woke up in the University of Louisville hospital trauma unit, and all my family was there, and they were, obviously very concerned because the doctor said I was really lucky to live. And fortunately, I had a concussion, but it wasn't, it did not break into my skull. I didn't crack my skull or anything like that. There was a cut across my head that bled, but it was what they called a closed head injury.
A traumatic brain injury, also known as a TBI, is when an external mechanical force causes brain dysfunction. The top three causes of a TBI include a car accident, the use of firearms, and falls. The frontal lobe is the most commonly damaged area. A closed head injury is when there's severe impact on the skull, but the skull is not physically penetrated. An open head injury is the most common, and this is when there is actual penetration to the skull.
Um, Life before my injury, before my accident, was hectic. Um, wanting not gang banging, wanting to gang bang. Um, running with running with bad people, and like doing bad things such as not robbing but stealing, stuff like that.
I don't remember much of that entire summer. So I did have some memory loss. My brain was really kind of foggy that whole summer. The biggest thing that changed was my personality. Prior to the accident, I was very introverted, very shy, and quiet. And after the accident, I really opened up quite a bit, and I was more extroverted, and I was just my whole attitude toward life had changed. Of course, getting close to death or feeling like you could have died really makes you think, and it makes you look at things differently. And so because of the head injury, it really did change my personality. And in terms of lasting effects over time, the doctors just told me that because of that head injury, I would always require more sleep than the average person, and I have. And so that's been one thing. And then the other big thing is just the change in my personality. And I think it was probably a change for the better, actually. But in terms of long-term memory loss and things like that, I don't know how to measure that, but it has had a big impact on my life. And I feel like I'm a pretty successful person now. I have a good job and in the financial industry, and things are much better now.
Those that I'm happy are my anger. Is one on name one. I haven't got a grip on it just yet. But I'm coming a little bit close and getting closer and closer.
Since no two brain injuries are alike, symptoms are very different between these individuals. Symptoms can range anywhere from mild to severe. The most common symptoms include loss of consciousness, headache, repeated vomiting or nausea, convulsions or seizures, inability to awaken from sleep, muscle weakness, loss of coordination, and slurred speech. Long-term complications can result in difficulties with memory, learning, reasoning, speed of mental processing, judgment, attention or concentration, executive functioning such as problem solving, multitasking, organization, decision making, beginning or completing tasks, difficulties with communication, difficulties with cognitive skills such as difficulty understanding speech or writing, inability to organize thoughts and ideas, trouble following conversations, and trouble with turn taking, difficulties in social situations, such as difficulty deciphering nonverbal skills, trouble reading cues from listeners, and trouble starting or stopping conversations. Behavior changes, such as difficulty with self control, risky behavior, lack of awareness of abilities, and verbal or physical outbursts. And emotional changes, such as depression, anxiety, mood swings, anger, and changes in self esteem.
My day looks like kind of stressful, but pretty fun. Go to school, or what I call school, whatever I call school. Um, where we do our fundamentals and learn kind of cognitive stuff and everything. Things like that. Then after that, we'll do half the days over with. About 12 o'clock, we'll get out and we'll do stuff in the community.
I basically, on a daily basis, I definitely refresh my memory. On Mondays and Wednesdays, I go to the speech therapy and occupational therapy. Just get better. That's what I do. We go bowling, to the movies, to a cemetery.
Cognitive stuff is cool. Would mean like math, word search,
Spelling, math, reading.
I spent time going to see neurologist and psychologist. There was not anything physical that they could do to help me. But what we did do is I had to go to group therapy and just talk about my experience and how it impacted me and how I was coping with it and what I was doing to get back on track. I spent a lot of time sleeping. I slept maybe 14, 15 hours a day for a lot of that summer. The doctors treated me with Zoloft, which was a new drug at the time. Thought they would try that, and I was on that for a while, and eventually after that summer I think I got off of that.
Different types of treatment can be used on individuals with a TBI. It can range from medications such as diuretics that help reduce pressure inside the brain, anti-seizure drugs, and coma-inducing drugs so the brain won't need as much oxygen to function. Surgery to remove clotted blood, repair skull fractures, and open a window in the skull to relieve pain. Or rehab that can be done by a psychiatrist, occupational therapist, physical therapist, SLP, neuropsychologist, social worker or case manager, a rehab nurse, a TBI nurse specialist, a recreational therapist, or a vocational counselor.
This is our menu. We have the week. Right here on Wednesdays where I cook. The fall. These are different numbers and stuff like that. Appointments and meds and stuff. In my room. Don't mind the mess. I understand. I have a lot of clothes. I have a whole lot of clothes. I have a whole lot of clothes. I have a whole lot of laundry. It's like 3 days worth of laundry.
Shown here are different resources throughout their home to help their quality of life. It includes reminders such as turning off the stove and making sure their cup has a lid before leaving the house.
That's the end of my story. Thank you.